This segment's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife.
Now that deer season's over with, many of us have started predator hunting. And it's good for us to remove the predators off our land because they hurt the rest of the wildlife population, our turkeys, quail, rabbit, even our deer. When we remove the predators from our land, it makes our hunts more successful. The Bible tells us of another predator. In 1 Peter 5:8, it says that the devil is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And just think about that. Our enemy seeks to devour us. So my challenge for you this week is this. When Satan comes to you with all his temptations trying to devour your life, stand firm. Paul tells us in Ephesians that we can stand firm against all the works of the devil. And always remember that Jesus is the real lion tamer. Hey, thanks for watching this week. Our prayers are continuing to be with you, and we hope that you and your family are blessed. Always remember, keep shooting straight.
All right, guys, this next segment's being sponsored by Taylor's Archery. You guys can find them at 100 East Lauderdale Street, Tullahoma, Tennessee. You can give owner Tracy Taylor a call at 931-563-7706. Let them take care of all of your archery and crossbow or your old school. They can do recurves, they do longbows. He takes care of it all. So get down there and see Tracy. You both know Tracy.
Oh yeah.
Great guy. Get
it's
down
going to
there,
be done right.
Let him take care. He's going to do it right. That's right. Well, guys, we're going to open up the phone lines if y'all want to call in with any questions. 615-737-7767. And as we're kind of doing that, let's just kind of get the conversation going. We watched a couple of videos tonight, talked a little bit about doe management, guys, but I was kind of starting with you, Wes. What do you think on one of the properties that you manage properties even in different states, but what do you kind of think, what do you want to see as far as bucks to does? If you're in a stand all day, you want to see kind of what do you think?
I guess ultimately, like, somewhere around a 3-to-1, is what I would, like to see. But it also depends on the time of the year.
Yeah.
And everything. Sometimes later times of the year, I don't necessarily judge that. But ultimately, that's kind of what I'm seeking.
Yeah.
As far as on the properties. But each one's different. The habitat's different on each farm.
Yep.
The amount of cover, the amount of food, and so you can't really just blanket.
There's not a one-way answer for any farm. That's kind of what I wanted to lead you into.
Right.
And there's not one because, and you hit the nail on the head. If you've got a property that is, let's just use a 300-acre property to be our example. If you got a 300-acre property that's got 200 acres of bedding cover on it, and it's got deadfall, and it's got grown-up fields, and it's bedding cover, it is probably going to house a lot more does, deer in general, but a lot more does than a 300-acre property that's got 60 acres of thicket on it and the rest is open field. Now you might see more bucks there. Reason being, the bucks are cruising. So when you get in those open situations, you might say, well, I see 4 or 5 bucks for every doe I see. That's because the bucks are cruising and the does are they're feeding somewhere in a group, So it is a big difference in the habitat, in the habitat there.
I suggest somebody goes to, like, QDMA's got what they call a doe harvest diagnosis is what they call it. And it's just a form, and it's pretty informative, and you answer these questions by this form, by the habitat, sightings you're seeing, camera surveillance, and it's a good place to start, if you don't have any idea.
Right.
But of course, if you run cameras during the year and you're visually out there, you're hunting with a deer, you got a pretty good idea what you have as a hunter.
Cameras are a great tool.
Cameras are a great tool. And if you want to go old school with it, and it's a lot of fun to do it. We did it a couple of years. I kind of slacked off the last few years. But you can also look up a program that will show you how to do an exact buck to doe ratio survey using game cameras over the summer. And again, it's not exact, but it gets you pretty close. And what you're counting there, you're not counting bucks and does, you're counting antler deer and non-antler deer, and it gives you a real good idea, of your buck to doe ratio. You hear, well, a perfect number is 1 to 1. It is. That's not feasible in the real world. That's feasible behind a fence. That's not feasible in the real world. Our limits don't look at stand up to that. I would say in our part of the state, we would probably average about 4 or 5 to 1.
Right.
As far as what we saw, our surveys each time showed about 5 to 1,
that's
4
still
to
pretty
1.
good ratio
That's not
there.
bad.
That's
not bad.
That's not bad at all. Now, Anthony, where you're at, I mean, you guys have got upward, 120, 130 deer a
Right.
square mile. So do you think that you see a more skewed number there? Do you still think it is more of a,
I'm
4 or 5 to 1?
It's probably a little more than that. And what's so strange, on the east side of our county, and I know one of my farms in particular, it's probably $2 to $2.50 per doe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
so
is hardly
again,
just about
habitat,
unheard of.
Yeah,
Wow.
habitat difference.
But then on the other side, that where I do most of my hunting, I mean, I'll see 20 to 40 deer a day, and I normally average 8 to 12 bucks a
right.
day. So it's still probably 3 to 4 to
about
1,
3 to 4
just
to 1.
about. Yeah.
Well, we've got a caller here on 2, and I believe it's a doe slayer himself. How you doing, Mr. Duck?
What's going on there, man? How y'all doing?
What's
Not
up,
much,
Matt?
buddy. Heard you finally went back to work this week.
Oh, man, look, I'm so depressed over this discussion. I can't even, look, I'm so sick right now, I don't even want to be here.
Well, you had a good season, buddy. I mean, no doubt about it. You took several good bucks and does as well. While we're sitting there talking about this, I mean, what do you think, Duck? You think that our buck to doe ratio is pretty good in Tennessee where you're out there in Brownsville? Do you feel like you're a little skewed or what?
Well, Brandon, honestly, man, we've seen a bunch of does this year in Haywood, man. I mean, it was, I didn't take any on one farm in particular, but I know a second farm we had, we shot several does on it, and I think we need to take more does, man. I'm gonna tell you, it just helps the herd out because you got to get rid of them. You got to get rid of them. You can't just let them keep coming and coming and coming and coming. Because it's like y'all said once before, the deer is not going to get big. You got to knock them down, man. You got to help that herd by knocking some of them does out, and even your bucks. You got to shoot them. You can't just watch them all day, Anthony.
Well, there was a while there I wondered if Anthony owned a firearm. He finally shot one a couple of years ago, and I realized he had a gun. But no, I mean you're right, Duck. We do. We got to shoot more does. I think as a state in general, guys. I'm as guilty as anyone else. I just don't shoot them like I used to.
I don't either.
I mean, I do eat it, but if I take a couple does a year, I'm good, with my family, and I don't take the numbers I should. But there's ways of still doing it, and what we have started doing is taking all these kids, man.
That's what we do.
And Anthony
Make it
too done the
fun.
same
Yes.
thing. Make it fun. Get the kids out there and find a way to take some does. Get some mouths off your food
I can
plots.
tell you, Brandon, that's a true statement when you said that about the kids. But let me tell you something. I'm 47 years old and I'm still a kid. I'll shoot every doe. When a man tells me shoot a doe, I'm getting in my truck and going get it, bro.
Duck and I watched 41 hit the ground this year.
Well,
Yeah.
We sure did.
Y'all share then, didn't
Yeah,
you?
we did. I mean, I only shot one, but I took a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I probably watched Duck. I filmed him killing probably 7 or 8 myself.
yeah. Well, Duck, we appreciate you calling, buddy. Good luck down there working. We'll let you know how the hunts go this weekend.
Good deal, man.
Find us some turkeys, Duck.
Hey, I got it set up, man. All I want to say is, Brandon, thank you again for allowing me to, do what I do for your show. And
Absolutely.
Anthony Landreth, I can't thank you enough. Tell Roger I said hi, sitting over there on the side. And Mr. West, I'd pick somebody better to sit next to if I was you. That guy on your left is trouble.
Yeah, that's what I've been
He
told,
couldn't
man. I
help
tell
it,
you.
man. Have a good night, Duck. See you, buddy.
Thanks again.
See you,
y'all.
Doug.
Bye. Terry, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. We appreciate you calling. How can we help you tonight?
Yes, I just have a quick question for you. Do you know anything about the National Turkey Convention, if they're going to be having it this year with the COVID?
They are not, well, I say they're not going to be having it. They will be having a virtual version of it. They will not be having it or hosting it at Opryland Hotel like they normally do. They're going to have some virtual sessions and banquets going on. So there will still be an event, but it will be completely online. There's not going to be anything at Opryland.
Well, that's what I was worried that they weren't going to have it. Well, thank
Yeah.
you very much for letting me know.
No problem. Have a great night. Thank you for calling.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, some good calls tonight. Let's go on over to this week's tip of the week. This week's tip of the week's been sponsored by Phoenix Custom Quality Rods. You guys can find them at phoenixrods.com. Check out all their lineup for 2021. Right here in the state of Tennessee, you can call Mr. Jim Brewer at 931-213-1455 and let him get a Phoenix in your hands today. All right, guys, we're going to go over to a quick tip in the field with Duck and Anthony.
Good job, Duck.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, we got a good tip of the week too, don't we, out of this?
We sure do, guys. And I don't know if y'all gonna see it or not, but your hunt's never over until your hunt's over. Your hunt's over when you get in the truck, okay? We shot deer this morning. Deer walked out, stepped over them, did whatever, walked around them, kept whatever, middling by their way. Then we had to get out the stand earlier.
We had 3 other bucks to come up.
3 other bucks came up and sniffed this deer laying on the ground.
Sniffed that one right there.
So,
one of them was a nice 6-point.
We ran deer out the field, 3 times this morning?
Sure did.
And they all came back. So hunt's not over. Don't think because you pull that trigger that it's over. Yeah, man, your hunt ain't over. You got plenty hunting, man. As long as you got time to hunt, you can stay in them woods. Stay in the woods, man. Especially this time of year right now.
Yeah.
That's right. Good tip, Duck. You got to stay in them woods. That's the only way you're going to get them, man.
Right.
If you pull that trigger, keep sitting. Well, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back here in just a minute with some more Southern Woods and Waters.